Entering the Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience Friday update. We got some injuries, we got some rankings, we got some news, and we have the highest owned players, at least projection-wise, for the DraftKings Millionaire Maker slate. If there's something specifically you want to hear about, boom, just drop to the index and you can find out when we start talking about all of these things. It's really that easy, people. You don't need to get too triggered about it. Jesse Morse from the Fantasy Doctors, Dr. Jesse Morse from the Fantasy Doctors, will be joining us a little bit later on to discuss the key injuries of the week. And I do want to let everyone know the ownership projections that we're using are from fansharesports.com. And if you want to get yourself 20% off at fansharesports.com, use the promo code PME at checkout. Get yourself 20% off. That easy to do. Highly recommend it. Also, there's like 100 spots left in the Pat Mayo Experience Listeners League. Hit the description if you want to find the link for that. $15, rake free, 3 max entry. It's probably the best tournament on DraftKings in week 1. If you're looking for a flat payout, it's a no rake. There's just overall, percentage-wise, more money in the prize pool. Then, live, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, Sunday morning, YouTube, Facebook, wherever else, probably Twitter. We'll figure that out after the fact. Garion will be in studio. Tim Anderkest will be on the line. We'll be breaking down all the latest news and taking your viewer questions. So you gotta tune into that. From the 10:30 to 11:30, that period will be the viewer questions. If you don't really care about tuning into a live show, but you do want something to listen to on Sunday morning, it'll be up on the iTunes feed, the Stitcher feed, wherever. It'll be on the podcast feed. If you subscribe to the audio podcast, boom, it'll be up there. And I do want to let you know, if you want to get into a draw for 20 DK bucks, what you need to do is smash the like button for the episode, leave your DraftKings handle in the comment section, and tell me who you think is going to be the highest owned player, any position, in the DraftKings Millionaire Maker. Chris Meaney from The Athletic. Was that enough?
It's a lot to take in. And one, I got to get in that contest.
Yeah, you do. There's like 100 spots left.
Yeah, get in that immediately as soon as I'm done here. And 2, live show is going to be a must listen, must watch.
Anytime you can get cussed on live and we don't have to like
Absolutely.
edit out his craziness, it's off the charts good.
Yeah, I watched you and him and Feinberg with your guys' pick show. It's just always entertaining. And it is a long show, but it doesn't feel like it. Like once you're done, you're just like, wow, it's like over an hour, but it was
almost
breeze, bro.
Almost 2 hours long. Like
Yes.
it's kind of nuts. But like you talk about 16 games and like
It's a lot of
kind
games.
of flows.
Yeah, a lot of games to unravel.
And you have to section off 30 minutes for the Chargers.
Yes,
Jeff's
of
gonna
course.
start to cry.
And the Jets.
And the Jets, that's
Yes.
true. I try to
Yeah.
kind of stay out of the entire fray.
Yeah.
I got some of my best bets coming at the other end too. The ones I actually threw down money on.
Nice.
I picked the Colts as my super lock on the show. I'm starting
like
to feel
the Colts as well.
I like the Colts. I did bet on them. I'm starting to feel the Lions a little bit more.
Me too. I originally I was thinking, Detroit probably shouldn't be favored against anybody in the NFL, especially on the road. But I mean, they're not bad of a defense. They can dial up some pressure. The offensive line in Arizona is not great.
And they just lost an O-lineman today.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
like their 2 starting corners are out. They're starting 3 rookies in the
All
secondary.
they got to do is win that game by a field goal. They want to slow the pace down anyways and run. And what team coughed up the most rushing yards and fantasy points to backs last year? Arizona. I mean, they really haven't done a whole lot defensively.
So I'm locked into my super lock being Colts plus 6.5. But if I was to do it today, it'd be minus 2.5. As it pertains to the Detroit Lions. But hey, my Super 7, I'm just chuck them in.
Yeah, I don't mind that. They're not in my 7, but I am leaning to Detroit. I do like the Colts call though.
Yeah. Everyone likes the Chargers.
Yeah, everybody. I just have a lot of faith in Frank Reich. I really do. And things are just they're a lot different from 2017 when Brissett was the quarterback.
Well, let's talk about news here for a second, because I do have some Chargers news. Cuss plays in one league that has a kicker. Would it surprise you that his kicker was Mike Badgley, who hurt his groin?
Oh, man.
So
classic.
Jeff was so fired up about, like, we have our kicking problems solved. Now he might not play on Sundays. They might have some trash kicker in there. And, like, James is already out. Gordon's obviously not playing. Okun's obviously not playing. And now Trevor Williams with a knee injury has been ruled out for week 1 as well. Like, everyone wants to point to the Colts and, like, how bad Jacoby Brissett, he was 4-12. When he started 2 years ago. This team is so much better now. And they broke the NFL record 2 years ago for games they were winning at halftime and they lost.
And they blew. I remember, we were watching football together often and we were talking about how they were in every game, but they couldn't close. Yeah, a lot different. For one, the offensive line is much stronger. And think about the weapons that Jacoby Brissett had back then. Sure, T.Y. Hilton and who else? Like a little bit of Jack Doyle. And they're like, say what you want about Funches and Campbell, but they're still there. They're better than what they had. Better coaching.
The defense is way better.
The defense is way better. A running back, right? They didn't even have that a couple years ago.
Out by
so
40 or something.
I don't think they'll get blown out. I mean, the Chargers like to play to a slow pace too. And like you said, they have some injuries of their own. They have some concerns that they have to deal with.
Yeah, the reason that I like the line, you can find it at +7 in some spots, but you got to pay a bit more juice. So I'm greedy. I took the 6.5. And the book that I use and have all my money on has 6.5. I was like, I don't want to go deposit anywhere else. That's a real hassle. But if you're like savvy in line shop, you should probably go do that and get the extra half point.
Yeah.
That's good. Turn out to be very valuable in the end.
Yeah,
who knows?
Hurt. Yeah.
But I just look at it like it was 3 and then it went to 7, let's say. So Andrew Luck's worth 4 points. I buy that, but it doesn't seem like the line has been affected at all by all the players the Chargers have lost.
No, it hasn't. Yeah, you're dead on, because it was originally, when Luck was a member of the Colts, it was 3, right? 3.5 perhaps. So I mean, they're giving him another 3 points. I don't fully agree with it. Like I said, like Frank Reich was able to play to Nick Foles' strengths in Philadelphia. He can do it with Jacoby Brissett, who I don't think is that awful of a quarterback.
You want to talk about Antonio Brown?
Yeah, why not?
It's funny.
Where do we begin?
I preached a wait and see type of thing. People were like, well, do I start Tyrell Williams over Julio Jones? It's like, let's just wait until he's like officially declared out. So before the game last night, it looks like he was going to be cut.
Yeah.
So I was like, I took Antonio Brown out of my weekly rankings.
Same.
And bumped everyone else up. And now all of a sudden he apologizes to the team and Gruden says he's going to play on Monday night. What are the chances he plays Monday night?
I'd say he plays Monday night.
I think he plays too.
Yeah, I mean, he showed up today, Friday. He hardly spoke to the media for like a second.
Which is, is hard for him to do.
Really hard for him to do, and probably really hard for him to do to get up and apologize, because I don't think we heard once about him apologizing at all in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, but the big thing is, though, he doesn't get his $30 million if he doesn't play, so you might have to eat that one, Antonio.
Yeah, there's 30 million reasons why he had to go up and say, I'm sorry to his teammates last night.
It's better than having 50 million reasons to live.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just an apology. Who cares?
Yeah, I didn't know what to do with him for week 1. I didn't know what to do with him in my overall rankings. I bumped him down, I think, to like 17 overall, because honestly, I was with you. I thought this time yesterday that there was a good chance that Antonio Brown was just going to get cut, that he was just going to get bounced from this team. I mean, all the reports out there, what he said to Mayock and had to be held back from Mayock, all the nonsense has led up. There's like numerous reports. I mean, him burning his feet is like the least of anything. It's like number 3.
Yeah, that's the least
on
crazy
the Antonio
thing he's done.
Brown news. Like it's unbelievable. So I just thought Mayock was gonna, put the law down and listen, we're just gonna suspend you or fine you. And it turns out that Mayock does not have a say at all really on this football team, and that it's all John Gruden.
Which leads me to, I like Denver -1 on Monday night.
I changed my tune as well. Yeah. Originally, I was thinking that I was going to be on Oakland, but I'm on Denver right now. Just less noise and a better defense and, probably a better quarterback.
Yeah,
really.
Flacco versus Carr is pretty close.
Yeah, it is close, but I'm going to probably lean with just the smart decisions of Joe Flacco.
Yeah, as bad as that sounds.
Yeah, it does sound awful.
I think when it comes down to it, you lean with the defensive line of the Broncos versus
Yeah.
that putrid Oakland
For sure.
offensive line. It's not like Denver's offensive line is great, but Oakland sucks.
Yeah, Oakland sucks. It could go, I could see 2 scenarios where AB is just force-fed the ball. He gets like 14, 15 targets.
Oh, I could see
it. With 10 and 180. Like, I wouldn't be shocked. But there's also a situation where, maybe Carr doesn't connect with him on the first 4 or 5 throws, and then all of a sudden you have an AB that's pretty fired up on the sidelines. This is going to get way worse.
Where do we put Antonio Brown into the week 1 rankings? Because I had taken him out. Do I just put him back to where I had him originally? Do you think?
Yeah, like wide receiver 1, top 10 guy.
I think I had him 1 spot ahead of Tyreek Hill at number 9 or 10.
Yeah, that seems fair. That's where I had him too. Like I really like Evans this week. Like I would have Evans over him.
I have Evans over him.
I would have Thielen over him, I believe, especially if Diggs was going to be out.
Diggs isn't going to be out, but he's going to be nicked up. It looks like. We'll talk to Dr. Morse about that here in a sec.
I originally actually had him over Devontae Adams. I just didn't think there'd be a lot of points scored in that game, and then I just, like I said, I didn't know what to do with him. But I'll put him as a top 10 wide receiver. Like if you give me 16 games of Antonio Brown this year, he's coming number 1 in the league in targets.
Let's run through some more of this news. Jay Gruden confirmed that Darius Guice will be the starting running back against the Eagles as like 10-point dogs, and that AP might be a healthy scratch,
which is great news for Guice.
I'm interested to see how much he is utilized in the passing game, because if they get down and Chris Thompson's just on the field, it doesn't really matter that he started.
And that's what I feel like. I don't know if Guice will be heavily involved in the passing game, especially from week 1. I think you'll see a lot of Chris Thompson, and he's actually probably a sneaky little play.
Yeah, well, we'll do a special segment that'll run before the DraftKings live show on Sunday morning. Like, Thompson's $3,500.
Yeah, and the Eagles have struggled for numerous years now stopping running backs who can catch the ball out of the backfield. So, I mean, they should actually be able to really just try to make Keenum throw the football and, stack the box with Guice, and could see a whole lot of Thompson.
Let's talk about Thursday night for a second, and everyone being triggered on the internet over David Montgomery.
Oh, he's the biggest overhyped bust since last year, Royce Freeman, who went earlier than Montgomery.
Yes. I mean,
last year.
I can't remember how into Montgomery you were.
I'm into him.
We ended up with him on our League of Leagues team because
I think we took him 3rd overall
in the rookie
NBA.
Draft. Yeah, it went Zion, Jacobs, and Montgomery.
Yeah,
I have Josh Jacobs on every single team.
I have a few shares as well, and we would have went Jacobs if we could have.
So we needed a running back. That's where we had to go.
That's where we went.
But like, what did everyone expect in this situation? Like, that's the part that I don't understand. So when we look at like the snap share, Cohen played 70% of the snaps, but he was also playing slot receiver.
Yeah, majority of the time.
And Mike Tagliere pointed this out. I was on the Fantasy Pros podcast. He was just like, Mike Davis got guaranteed money. Like, he's gonna touch the ball.
Sure. Yeah, he can block well too. Listen, I mean, there's so much hype that I think people were thinking that Montgomery was going to come out and touch the ball 15 to 20 times and get 100 yards and find the end zone twice. Like, it's going to take some time. And I liked what I saw from him yesterday. He had one catch. He had one nice run. He hardly touched the field. He was on the field sometimes blocking, other times the same time as Cohen, which is interesting. I don't think we even treat Cohen as a running back anymore. We could say committee of 3.
No,
it's basically a wide receiver.
But do we think that this is a product of Anthony Miller being hurt and that's why he's playing in the slot, or this is just something that they're doing? Or they saw a strategic advantage, which obviously didn't work. But
they thought
they had an advantage with Cohen out in the slot, so just pepper him. Or they were just like, we can't even throw to our receivers because Trubisky is ass, and we'll just chuck it to Cohen.
That's what it may be, because it's easy completions. I mean, Cohen led this team in receptions as a rookie a couple of years ago, and I believe he was like 2nd last year, just a couple fewer than Taylor Gabriel. I mean, Allen Robinson wasn't healthy, so they're going to use him in the slot. Out wide, they used him. I think a little bit of both, Pat. Anthony Miller, or Miller's just not, he wasn't fully healthy. Mm-hmm. Concerning if you're a Miller owner for sure, because Trubisky's just not great.
But it's not like you were playing
No,
Miller.
You weren't playing him. You picked him up as maybe a potential sleeper, somebody who could break out for you. But I mean, Allen Robinson and Cohen, like, those are the pass catchers from week to week.
Robinson looked good.
And as long as he's healthy, he should be phenomenal. I mean, he's dealt with poor quarterback play his entire career. And Blake Bortles, I mean, he had 14 touchdowns, like 1,400 yards that one year. Actually, was it like 16 touchdowns? Double-digit touchdowns for sure, and 1,400 yards with Blake Bortles.
Then he blew out his knee, and then we all expected him to be Allen Robinson.
And he wasn't healthy last year.
And he wasn't,
No, he wasn't healthy last year. So, I mean, be patient with Montgomery.
Would you trade for him?
Yeah, I think right now is the perfect time to do it, especially next week. I don't know if next week's going to get any better. They got a game in Denver. I mean, it may be another poor outing for him. I don't think it's him. The skill set is there. It's just a matter of Matt Nagy now in this offense. Like, he only touched the ball 7 times. So, like, get him on the field and use him a bit. But I think if you are an owner, and I am in a lot of leagues, I'm, slightly concerned about Davis. I think you have to be.
Yeah, and just the over, even if it's not like 48% of snaps or 50% of snaps, but even if it's like 30, because you know that Cohen will line up in the backfield from time to time, and maybe they do what they did last year when they had Howard and Cohen. It's Montgomery and Cohen back there as well, but I don't know. Like, if he can't get to like a 60% snap share, he's just not going to be that valuable.
Yeah, it might not be.
And we didn't see who they're going to use by the goal line.
Right. We haven't seen. We can only assume that, at this point, maybe it's Mike Davis. Really. I mean, he got a lot of play late in that game when they were down. Like, he was getting a few targets. But I'm just going to stick with the fact of that, again, he's skilled, and eventually I think it'll take some time, but I think we'll see it. I mean, the game plan wasn't great at all. And looking over the course of Trubisky's career, when he's thrown 35 passes, he's 1-7. I mean, I think, it says a lot about him.
It was a very smart play by Mitch Trubisky. 4th and 10, trying to run up the middle for 3 yards.
Right.
What are you doing?
It's like a couple times, too. And even at the end of the
chuck
game.
It up, man.
Even at the end of the game, like 4th and 8, like, he took the sack. Like, just throw, at that point, throw the football.
Yeah, you know who'd be throwing it? Josh Allen.
Yeah, of course.
He'd probably be throwing it to the other team. But still, he's launching it up there.
And the biggest concern, I think, for me with Trubisky is after the game. Now, there was parts I missed in the middle. But towards the end, I watched, and then I drove home and I was listening to ESPN radio, and they had Trubisky on presser, and he said, quote, I thought I made some good throws and good decisions out there for the most part. It's like, what?
What are you talking
What are
about?
you even talking about?
I like it. He's remaining
good throws.
Remaining positive.
Fine.
Stay on that.
Fine.
Next week, you think it into existence, then it's just gonna happen.
In Denver, it's not going to be an easy outing for him.
No, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
Although I really like Denver in that, like, as a spot game.
Yeah.
But if Denver goes out and smashes Oakland, let's say, and coming off just what we think about Chicago,
Right.
I'm curious to see what that line is going to be, because then you have Chicago with 10 days rest versus Denver on a short week.
Good call.
That it might not be so
Right.
good for Denver.
I still believe in the Bears. Like, obviously, their defense was phenomenal last
Okay,
night.
is
They need to
that-
score 14 points to win games.
Is this part of it, though? Is Green Bay's defense really good?
Yeah, part of it.
And
I was impressed with their defense last night. I think we should give them some credit. Aaron Rodgers said he hadn't seen that in probably ever. Like, I don't know if he's taking shots at former teammates or what, but he had said
well,
that.
they all
like,
take shots at him. He
Sure.
might as well take shots at them.
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, he said that. And I agree with him. I mean, the defense was great at the pick at the very end, a former Bear in the end zone. So, like, there's a lot to like about the Green Bay side. But we're sitting here talking about Montgomery and the hype with him. But at the end of the day, Aaron Jones was drafted ahead of him in the third round.
Sure,
he got some touches, but also Jamal Williams was on the field getting touches early, not doing anything. 5 carries for 0 yards, yet he's still on the field. Like, there's still maybe issues there with Jones this season.
There could be, but I think at least we know we know that he's going to be the higher end of the snap share at least, and we knew this was a bad matchup going in. Like, I think I had him ranked 27 at running back. Like, I just didn't like this matchup.
Right.
But with Montgomery, we don't know if it was a bad matchup. Like, maybe the running game is trash and we just don't know it.
Just didn't
like,
see it.
There's so much unknown right now with the Bears, at least trying to project forward. Like, I'm not concerned about Devontae Adams.
Right.
At all.
No, he's be fine.
If I was a Geronimo Allison owner, would I be concerned that Marcus Valdes-Scantling was looked at more? Maybe, but
Yeah, I would be a little bit.
I feel like that switches week to week.
It may.
It might. Like, I don't know what to make of that.
Yeah, I
I'm
liked
not
MVS
concerned
more
about-
going in. I just thought there was slightly more upside. Like Geronimo Allison, like I think we've seen the best of him.
Maybe
he had
but-
some big games,
But all of a sudden, if Jimmy Graham doesn't like leap up in front of him in the end zone, he catches the touchdown, and all of a sudden we're not talking about
yeah,
this.
and that was one too. That
Jimmy Graham with his
probably
2-inch vert.
Yeah, that was when I thought like it was a crowded pass. Like I was pretty surprised to see Jimmy Graham actually come away with that.
I had Mercedes Lewis as first touchdown. I got greedy. I could have taken Graham at 16-1.
But
The
that's-
starting tight end.
Yeah.
Instead, I went with Lewis, who played almost equally amount of, he played 53% of the snaps, same as Graham. And I was like, 50-1. That sounds way better. And then he had a catch on that drive when they were going down. I was like, oh, here we go, Mercedes Lewis time.
But that's the way to do that. Those bets, those props. I'm with you. I like to take those long shots,
Yeah, you only
especially
need-
some guys that are going to be using the red zone.
Well, if people got mad at me, like, these bets didn't win. It's like, I'm playing long shots here. You need to win one for the course of the year, and you're up.
Yeah, and you've hit a few of those double digit. Yeah, absolutely, and it pays off for sure. So to answer your original question, I would buy low, and he may even be like, if you're playing in a dynasty league, he may even be the better buy low. Like maybe next year he breaks out. Who knows? I'm not ready to give out on him yet, but you're right about Davis and paying for him. I think he's going to be a big part of the offense moving forward.
Yeah. I don't know if he's enough to make a fantasy contribution. I think he's more of just a fantasy pain in the ass to Montgomery and Cohen.
It might be. Well,
Like, I don't
most
think
people that have him, there's just RB too.
For
most people that have Montgomery, like
but like Davis is worth, I guess, technically owning. But you're never going to play him.
No, you're not.
Like, would you trade Aaron Jones for David Montgomery? I still think I would want Aaron Jones, like I did
Yeah.
before last night.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. Sure. This is a bit of a sideways move, probably.
I think that Jones just, at least we know that he's going to get more than 60% of the touches in the backfield.
And that he's significantly better than Jamal Williams.
Yeah, but that doesn't seem to make a difference. Also, there was one they punted from like 4th and 4 when the Bears can't move the ball.
Yeah.
I think it was right before the end of the first half. And they ended up getting the ball back with like 2 timeouts. Like, just go for it from the 45. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Nagy wasn't on the ball yesterday. I've talked this guy up over the past couple of years. Even with his days in Kansas City with a rookie running back and Kareem Hunt, that they made the league's highest rusher. He was able to work wonders in that offense. And this time last year, it's funny how things change. I was actually having this conversation with a pal with John Collins. And this time last year, I believe it was week 1, Bears and Packers. Was it not?
Yeah.
And the offense looked unbelievable in the first couple drives. It was like Trey Burton, everyone was getting touches. It's like Trubisky looked amazing. Oh, this is why they traded up for him. And like, holy crap, the Bears are going to be unreal. And we were texting back and forth last night, like, how different does a year make? Because this offense looks pathetic. And Nagy doesn't it doesn't look like he knows what he's doing.
Well, it was funny, like for the first few weeks, there was a big deal made about sort of like the Andy Reid scripting thing. It's like, oh, they can script out their first 20 plays. They practice these plays and they're awesome.
Yeah.
Apparently that's not a thing anymore.
Not a thing anymore, yeah.
But we'll see how it goes forward. The Bears could go 15-1 for all we know.
I still like them. I have
Their
them to
D
win
is
the
good.
division. Their D is phenomenal, which will keep them in every single ball game.
Yeah. All right, so let's take a break from us just chatting about it. We'll get back to the news in a second, but I think it's important to assess the biggest injury news of the week and how that might actually affect their performance on Sunday and whether or not they're actually going to play or if they're going to be limited. So let's bring in from the fantasy doctors, Dr. Jesse Morse. Back. Meaney's still in studio. We got Dr. Jesse Morse on the line to break down the injuries of the week. Doc, and of all these guys that have popped up on the injury report, especially lately, is there any one in particular that you're super concerned about?
Super concerned, no. Mildly concerned about Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, I can see that. Like Mike Zimmer even kind of quoted, he said, "We'll see," when asked. But he practiced like, what do you look for of guys that like are substantial stayaways? Because I know with Stephon Diggs, anytime that he's popped up on the injury report, that he's just been trashed that week. So I'm going to bump him down in my rankings. We'll talk about it after the doc gets off the line, meaning how far down that he's going to go. But like, Doctor, what are you looking for, like in terms of what he's doing in practice, like practicing on a limited basis? What's that really telling me?
So, to be honest with you, when he popped up, I'm like, oh, he's done for the week. And then he was able to practice the next day. I'm like, huh? So my main question is, was it just a cramp? Was he just dehydrated? He felt a little cramp in the hamstring and didn't actually have a strain. So, I mean, and then obviously we don't have the ability to evaluate him or see any of his images or anything. So we're kind of using what they tell us and what he does. If this was a true strain, even if it was a grade 1, he'd be at significant risk if he used it realistically over the next couple of weeks. So the fact that he basically practiced the last 3 days, even in a limited capacity, is encouraging. With that being said, I'm a little concerned if you're asking him to go full force for an entire game, and he's going to potentially re-injure that hamstring or maybe make it even worse. That almost makes me want to think, should we lean Thielen this week? I mean, you have to get some type of target share in this offense. So Diggs is definitely a higher risk for injury. I think he'll probably play. I just don't feel comfortable about playing him.
Owners should probably just hope he, realistically doesn't play and suffers a setback.
Yeah, the whole thing is just hope you don't have Diggs, and then you don't have to worry about that.
Exactly. Jesse, let's move over to Odell Beckham Jr. dealing with a hip injury. And, I saw some practice reports. He looks fine, but he said, he's yet to open up. I think he referred to himself as a Ferrari, and he's a car. He basically needs a new alignment is kind of what he said.
Yeah, he calls himself a Ferrari. He's running at Fiat speed right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So he's going to play, Jesse, but is this something that you think he's going to deal with all season long? Is this just a 1 or 2 week thing? Is he going to be limited? What's your thoughts on Odell?
So first of all, I love Odell this year. That's kind of the initial standpoint. With this injury, this is more of a 1 to 3 week injury in general. This is what we call a hip pointer, which is basically the top part of the outside of the hip in the back. Uncomfortable, usually secondary to a bruise, sometimes people hitting it, sometimes somebody landing on them, but they usually don't linger. This is not like a true groin / hip injury where you feel it in the front of your hip. This is more of in the back. I can see where it gets a little uncomfortable to try to let it go and try to just get going. I think when he's out there, he's going to kind of forget about it. I'm not overly concerned about this at all. If this was like a true groin, which is usually a labral issue, and that type of hip injury, those are very concerning, and those do not do well. As far as we know, this is quote unquote just a hip pointer. He won't feel 100% this week, but he may be able to perform like he is.
Julio Jones might be sad and doesn't want to play because he doesn't have a new contract, or he might legitimately be hurt. I have no idea what's going on with Julio Jones.
For years.
Yeah, he's hurt every single week. Like, how do you treat someone like this going into a week? Do you just have to pretend, since we don't have the proper information about it, that it's nothing? Since it's nothing knowable and it does look like he's going to play, do we have to treat it like it doesn't exist?
So here's the thing about Julio. he's been a stud his whole life in terms of football, like ever since he was, in high school. He ran track. He's always had foot injuries. He's always had foot issues because he's had increased workload, whether it was in on the track, on the field. And unfortunately, he suffered a very bad injury many years ago in his Jones fracture, namely, funny that his last name is Jones, but and that just doesn't heal well in anybody, especially a high-level athlete, and these need screws. So they put a screw in. Unfortunately, a lot of the times this ends up requiring refracturing, and it requires a second screw or kind of addressing the first time. This is similar to, say, Sammy Watkins, who basically has the same injury. But Julio's been really able to manage it the past year and a half, 2 years. The best thing for him to do is to continue to manage reps. He doesn't need to run 150 routes in practice. I mean, mentally he can do it. He can kind of walk through it, but he doesn't need to run full sprints and everything, because he needs to kind of save his bullets, almost like a pitcher in baseball. You only have so many, and then that foot is only going to last so long with how aggressive he needs to be at the line and how hard he needs to turn into his routes. If we look at the air yards, I mean, he was a beast last year. He was by far and away the most. So I think he's going to be okay to go. He's just going to go with it. I know he wants to get paid. I don't blame him. If he suffers a setback, hypothetically, the value of his contract is probably going to significantly decrease. Think about how much money potentially AJ Green lost, hypothetically over the past year because of his injuries. So, and they were drafted, not very far apart. They're both about the same age. So I understand Julio Jones's issues. I appreciate kind of like an Andrew Luck situation. He's kind of dealt with a myriad of injuries over the past many years. He's had to continue to really take care of them in order to allow him to continue playing. I think he will play. I don't think he's going to retire. And I think that he has the potential to have a great season. I mean, you could argue that he should be the top wide receiver in terms of wide receiving yard potential. Whether or not TDs are what they are, they're a little fluky in their own nature. But Matty Ice and the Falcons basically have the majority of their season in a dome. I mean, you can't ask for better weather and better potential. So I'm not overly concerned. I don't think he's going to do an Antonio Brown and just go bananas. So I think he'll be all right and he'll be good to go. But he won't be mentally or physically 100%.
There's some reports out there that he may even get the contract before Sunday. When we're running out of time for that to happen, but it remains to be seen. From one guy who's always dealing with something in Julio Jones to another guy in Jordan Reed who always seems to be dealing with a concussion. And I'm sure you've gotten this question numerous times, Jesse, and here it is again. And heading into week 1, and Jordan Reed is questionable with concussion-like symptoms.
And as of Friday, has not been cleared for contact whatsoever. So that's problematic.
Would you assume that he would play? And how many more concussions does this guy need to get before he needs to really just start thinking about his life and maybe just stepping away from football? I guess it's a personal question. You probably don't know that answer. Yeah.
I don't think the second answer the question has a true answer.
Yeah.
In terms of how many should he get? Some people would argue 1 is too many. But this is, as far as we know, his 7th. Which is, it sounds as crazy as it sounds. The issue with concussions, and I took care of a lot in fellowship. I don't see as many now, and I'm okay with that because they can be very challenging to treat. Concussions are very frustrating. With each subsequent concussion, people, especially high-level athletes, they have a tendency to take a little longer for the symptoms to go away. Sidney Crosby famously took almost a whole year for his symptoms to go away. Because of a bunch of concussions. So these just linger. You can get migraines, you can get continuous headaches, you can have difficulty with fatigue, which is a very common issue that just is prolonged. The fact that he has not cleared the contact protocol, which is basically the last step, the last hurdle, means that the odds of him playing are not very good in week 1. And there is decent data to show that he is at a significant increased risk for another concussion, up to, I think it's somewhere between 3 and 7 times over the next 90 days, which is most of the season. The odds of him not getting another concussion this year are actually quite low. Like they're so high. His risk is so high that really the only time I would ever even play him is maybe in DFS. Like he's too risky for me in a season long. He's made of glass, and he needs to hang him up, unfortunately. But this is his body, and this is his career. I'll let him choose however he wants. I think Vernon Davis is kind of a sneaky play and pick. Maybe not, play this week because I don't like the Redskins in general, but I just don't see Jordan Reed doing much this year because of this and among whatever else we're going to see the rest of the year.
If someone says they have 7 documented concussions, how many do they probably really have, do you think?
Double it.
What's that?
Double it. Maybe 10, 14.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
Oh, geez.
I mean, so here's the problem. Back when he was playing in high school, we didn't really monitor concussions like we do now. A lot of these kids didn't even know what it was. They're like, oh, I got my bell wrong. And they just continue to play. Nowadays, we have spotters on the field. The athletic trainers are keeping their eyes out. These people know how potentially serious concussions or possible concussions can be. So they're cognizant that they're going to pull themselves out. So back then, they just kind of lived with it and like, oh, that's just part of the game. So you could have had 3, 4, 5 that maybe were never even diagnosed until either he couldn't do what he was asking to do or he just sounded like he was drunk. But in actuality, he was concussed.
That's nuts. So Beckham, Jones, Reed, and Stefan Diggs are the areas of concern. More concerned about Diggs and Reed, obviously. But we get to a thing as well where like if Beckham and Jones aren't 100%, they're 92%. They're still 2 of the best receivers in the league. Like you're not really worrying about it. At receiver, like Dante Pettis is dealing with the groin. He got upgraded to full participation. DK Metcalf, DraftKings Metcalf taken off the injury report. So that's probably good news. But like Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown isn't practicing at all. Mike Evans is dealing with like a stomach bug. Alshon's dealing with a biceps injury. Robbie Anderson has a calf injury. They're all expected to play, Doc. But if they're not, like, what are the chances that all these guys are 100%? Because, Evans I'm not too concerned about. But if Robbie Anderson is 83%, that's not great.
No.
Yeah, I mean, so here's the issue with a lot of these guys. Amari Cooper will be probably 85 to 90%, which may be sufficient for, Amari Cooper because that may drop him to like a wide receiver 2. Mike Evans should end up being really solid as long as he can get over this. He doesn't get too dehydrated. But my suspicion is he'll be fine. He's still got a couple days to clear this. Alshon Jeffrey. Sounds like somehow he got a bicep, maybe contusion. It's pretty hard to strain the bicep. You can, but it sounds like it's more contact related. So I'm not overly concerned. They have a fantastic matchup. A sneaky DFS should be probably higher owned by the end of the weekend than he is going to be. The couple guys that I'm a little concerned about, Robbie Anderson, not a huge fan of calf injuries, especially that just happened a week or 2 ago. Less than that, these are at a little bit high risk for re-injury. Dante Pettis and groin, kind of along the same lines. I would love for them to go out and have a shootout with Tampa Bay, but at the same time, I'm a little cautiously optimistic with Dante Pettis because we assume he's the number 1. We assume that everything is going to be good to go, but all it takes is one tweak of that groin and he's done for the game. He just these re-aggravate really easy and they're really uncomfortable. Any type of movement with starting, trying to push off and get away from the defender is going to re-aggravate that groin if it's angry. So the good news, he participated in practice. He should be good to go. I just don't think he'll be 100%. But I would consider him in a stack or something like that. Hollywood Brown. It is reported that he is going to play, but I would definitely confirm that on Sunday morning. I do like Hollywood Brown this year. He suffered what is called a Liz Frank injury, which is, and that was several months ago, basically the end of his college career. He actually and underwent surgery for stabilization. And I had spoken to my foot surgeon a couple of weeks ago in my group and asked to say, after these foot surgeries, did you ever really have any concern for re-injury? He's like, no. I mean, these guys are good. Yes, he'll have arthritis sooner, but they're not overly concerning. Once he's back, he's back. So he's going to need to kind of get used to it. He's going to need to put weight on it. The Liz Frank complex is essentially the middle of your foot, or the arch of your foot. Without a strong complex that feels strong, these guys are going to be miserable. He just won't be able to push off. He won't be able to run. And this is a speed guy. He's super dynamic. They have a pretty much cakewalk matchup in likely the tanking Dolphins. Boykin may get some looks more. There's a lot of guys that could go around. They may just run the ball a million times. So I wouldn't potentially start him this week because I just don't think all it takes is one abnormal landing on that foot, and that's it. The only other guy I think I didn't mention is DK Metcalf. I'm a little surprised they're being as aggressive as they are with him. I know he's an athletic and genetic freak, at least based on his photos. So what he had was a meniscal tear, or at least a partial meniscal injury. So I saw a couple of these this morning in clinic, and it was funny because both of them presented similar, but one was really severe and the other one was very mild. The guy you wouldn't even know he had a knee injury. The other one couldn't even straighten his leg out. So there are severities of tearing, and that's essentially the cartilage in your knee, kind of like the shocks for your knee. So basically what they did was they went in and trimmed out some of that cartilage, calmed it down, and then allowed him to ramp back up. This is indirectly what Sonny Michel had last year and probably many years ago Tyler Gurley had, and that's why he has arthritis now. He will start to be closer to 100%, but I wouldn't be surprised if it takes him a couple more weeks to be truly 100%. He is at high risk for re-injury or re-aggravating it, especially when the foot is not in a perpendicular or to say parallel to the body, but perpendicular to the ground at any of these crazy angles. That's when the meniscus is activated, especially on uneven surfaces, which is pretty much what grass is going to be most of the time. So he has the potential to re-aggravate this at any given time, and it could swell up and he may not be able to kind of deal with it. So a couple more weeks before I really feel confident in playing him personally.
You mentioned 100%. You said Amari Cooper, you said 85 to 90 roughly. Is this just going to be something that plantar fasciitis is something that he could probably just deal with all year long? I mean, you've heard it from other athletes before that they're just going to have to deal with the pain. So is Amari Cooper just going to be 85 to 90% max all year long? Are we just going to be talking to you every Friday about Amari Cooper?
Probably. Here's the issue. I like Amari Cooper as an athlete. We saw his potential. We saw when he has a good quarterback throwing to him that he can, be an elite wide receiver one. We've also seen him kind of be MIA and he didn't really do much. Whether or not that correlated with his foot, whether it didn't have any correlation at all, we don't know. The issue with the plantar fascia, and the plantar fascia is a very thick ligament, so to speak, on the bottom of the foot. And if this is angry and inflamed, it's like you're walking on needles or glass. I mean, it's awful. When you get it calmed down, they're semi-normal, and it may be good for several months, or it may come back in a couple of weeks. Obviously, you can't be a wide receiver without stability on your feet, without cutting, stopping. And a lot of this, if they can calm it down, he's going to be good. This is not an area you do a cortisone shot in. You will increase the risk for rupture. So that's out of the cards. They don't have that luxury, or shouldn't use that luxury. You can, they have a couple different splints that he can wear at night. They can do PRP or stem cell. That type of stuff does have some benefit here, but this is a tolerance thing. They may just kind of do what he can during the week, kind of lay off it, and then kind of be smart with him on the weekend to allow him to play.
All right. Doc, thank you for joining us on the line. Can you tell everyone where they can check out your work? Because it becomes very essential the closer we actually get to kickoff.
Oh, yeah. Thankfully, we didn't have any injuries last night that I'm aware of. But obviously, they're going to start creeping up. You can find us on the fantasydoctors.com. On my Twitter handle is at Dr. Jesse Morse, and I kind of have a tendency to live tweet a lot of the injuries, and we'll usually post videos if I have time to record them about said injury. If you want some higher level or more specific content, we have a Patreon page as well.
What was the most intriguing thing you think he said? Because I'm looking at let's say Diggs is all of a sudden like a surprise inactive. That leaves Chad Beebe and Josh Doxson on that team.
Yeah, who they just got a few days ago.
So
Beebe's been... I've heard a lot of positive things about him in camp, like as a returner. So having a role on special teams, maybe playing a little bit in the slot, possibly. I mean, I don't know if I would go there on DraftKings, but I mean, if Diggs is not playing, it just can't be all Thielen. I mean, I guess Dalvin Cook.
I mean, it also could be all Thielen.
And let's not forget the start that he had last season.
It could be that
first
again.
Few games. It's certainly like that's what I expect. I mean, I think he tailed off because they didn't have a run game in Minnesota. Like they just weren't dealing with. They just didn't have it. Right. It was basically like Cousins getting pressured and just dumping it off all the time. And, you know, at the start of the season, at least they had a run game. So, I mean, I like Thielen regardless of Diggs.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it is a good matchup for them, especially being indoors at home against the Falcons. Although the Falcons defense should be improved. I'm just looking at my rankings right now. Like I think like 9. I had him behind Juju, Evans, Odell, Julio, Devontae Adams. Good rank, Pat. DeAndre Hopkins and Michael Thomas. Should I move him up? Like if I'm going to project a higher market share, or should I just keep him where he is, move Diggs down?
Yeah, I think that's the play. I think you keep him where he is. He's a top 10 wideout, and you move Diggs down. Likely. We've seen this before, and you alluded to it with him.
When he's on the injury report, that's bad news.
It's bad news. And a lot of times he's been active and he's just been invisible. Yeah. And sometimes he's out there, no targets. He's just there.
Diggs or Tyler Boyd?
Tyler Boyd.
Diggs or T.Y. Hilton?
T.Y. Hilton.
Diggs or Alshon Jeffrey, who's on that injury report. And who may or may not be.
Who, yeah.
You know who he was talking about, like the sneaky sack in that game? Like people forget, like Deshaun Jackson broke his finger like last week, but he's going to play. Like he might be the guy to play.
I think he
is.
Revenge
game?
Yes, I think he is the guy to play. Also, like just little things. And when you look into it with the Eagles, I mean, from day one, Carson Wentz has talked about Deshaun Jackson, like right away from camp. These guys were just airing it out. And then he was talking about, oh man, how fast he can run. The lot has been said that he's never, ever had a deep threat. They tried with Torrey Smith. They tried with Mike Wallace. It didn't work out in years past.
Kind of worked with Torrey Smith. He was like, all right.
He was all right, but he was never that deep threat guy that they assumed that he would be. And now Carson Wentz has one. And Doug Peterson is already like, you could just see the smile on his face talking throughout the week that how pumped up Deshaun Jackson was, how he's good to go, and how like hopefully he's able to find the end zone this week, and hopefully it happens early. I wouldn't be shocked, Pat, if it's the first throw of the game. It's a deep ball to Deshaun Jackson.
Diggs or Cooper Kupp?
I think I'll lean Diggs there.
Right,
I don't think Cooper Kupp is 100% either. I know they're not talking about that in LA, but there has been some reports about him being on a bit of a pitch count to start the season.
That bumps Diggs down to like wide receiver 25.
Yeah.
That's probably like wide receiver. Like if you drafted Diggs, you probably have to play him because you don't have other options.
Could be your one.
Could be your one.
You may have gone back Diggs, like depending on your situation, right? You may have drafted early, went back, and then Diggs, and then you went back again, and then you're looking at who like just borderline wide receiver 3s and 4s, like maybe Pettis, for example, or DK Metcalf, were guys that you took shots on. You have to play them as well, too. And now they're also hurt.
Like the other guys that you drafted behind him, like I would play Lockett, Godwin, Boyd, Dede,
yes,
Cooks, Woods, Mike Williams. I'd play ahead of him.
Yes,
T.Y. Hilton, Alshon, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Edelman, like that's
Edelman for sure.
Like, yeah, we don't need to say the obvious guys.
Yeah,
but like,
those are the guys. Yeah, he probably fits right in around there as wide receiver 30. And it's Friday right now, and we haven't heard. Usually we would probably hear by now inactive. Like we'll see. Doesn't sound too positive.
Who would you rather play? Robbie Anderson, knowing that not only does he have this calf injury, but he's going to be lined up with Tre'Davious White, bad news, or Jamison Crowder on that same team?
Yeah, I would play Crowder.
Crowder.
Bad news is right for Robbie Anderson. I like Robbie Anderson, but one, he's already dealing with a calf injury, like Jesse said. I mean, it just kind of popped up, and calf injuries can be tricky. And the fact that his matchup is not great at all. I mean, the Bills' defense, pretty solid. I have a lot of respect for them. They did really well against top-tier quarterbacks last year and top-tier wide receivers because of White.
Just wait until Josh Allen's better than Sam Darnold. It's going to be amazing.
It could happen, on Sunday.
I mean, he might already be better than Sam Darnold.
Certainly, I don't know. Sunday. You and I are big Josh Allen supporters, and he didn't have a lot of.
We bet the over on his rushing yard. This is why we like him.
This is why we like him. Yeah, and I mean, he didn't have really a whole lot to work with last year, and he's got some capable wide receivers this year. Plus, the offensive line is better.
Anything else from that injury report that you think we should kind of go over? Like, I don't care what happens in San Francisco as long as Kittle is getting the ball.
Yeah, as long as Kittle.
The one thing that would concern me is that Mike Evans like stomach flu thing. Not so much as it pertains to him, because like you said, if as long as he's hydrated, he's going to be fine. But the rumors were like this is going throughout the Bucs locker room that half their team might be sick come Sunday.
You just hope none of their offensive linemen have it because they're already bad as it is. Like Jameis got sacked 5 times in a preseason game. I don't even know like how much time he's going to have to get the ball to Mike Evans down the field. But I mean, you play him. Obviously, you know this. You play your studs. I mean, throughout that list, I mean, Dante Pettis is a guy I guess I'm a little concerned with. Originally, I was liking him leading up to this week on DraftKings because it's just been back and forth. It's been a roller coaster ride with him. He was drafted in season-long leagues as high as wide receiver 20.
And they were talking
and
about
then
how
everybody hates him. He sucks. He's down to wide receiver 45, 50 in some spots. And recently, Shanahan said he can do everything. He can be our one. He can line him up at the slot, end arounds. Heck, he can be our running back from time to time if we want. He's that good. But now dealing with this groin injury, I just liked him because of the fact that he was priced with that hype and then all this non-hype. And then the questionable tag comes up and I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely going to be in on this guy in what it could be a 50-point game. And now I'm like, I don't know if I will go down that way. Maybe I take a shot on Goodwin.
I don't even know if I want to take a shot.
There will be some points, though, scored in that game.
Pettis is still the one that I would play. Like, if I had to play one of them.
He has the highest ceiling outside of Kittle.
Yeah, Kittle, you're obviously playing.
Yeah,
but like, if you can go out of your way to not play, I mean, if you have like a strong lean between Coleman and Breda, or maybe they're both like flex eligible, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like any other receiver, like
they
could be Debo could be 0 points, Goodwin could be 0 points, Pettis could get re-injured during this
neither
game.
of these quarterbacks. I wouldn't be shocked to see 7 or 8 touchdowns. I wouldn't be shocked to see 4 or 5 interceptions combined from the two quarterbacks. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo hasn't looked good in the little small sample size we've seen from this year.
Sneaky defenses in that game,
both.
by the way. Both
of them.
They're both super
I agree
cheap.
100%.
And all we ever want, it's not like the Bears defense said. They scored all right on Thursday night for a fantasy defense, but if the Niners just get pressure all day, like they could score 30 points.
Absolutely. And
even if they give up 30 points.
Yeah, exactly. And I wouldn't be shocked again to see a few interceptions in this game, maybe a couple pick sixes. And the Niners defense is it's not
could
awful.
be good.
It's not. Yeah, they have some
questionable.
They have some players. Yeah,
like the D line could be good. The pass defense could be really good, but at the same time, it could also not be. We just don't know.
These two teams allowed the most 1 and 2 touchdowns to wide receivers last year. I think it was like 49 combined. Like we could see some touchdowns. We're not saying that they're elite defenses, but they could dial up some pressure too.
They could have gotten a lot better. We obviously know the 49ers are much healthier this year.
Yeah.
But like thinking about like DraftKings defenses for the week, you got the Eagles, you're going to play them. The Cowboys, you can play them. The Seahawks are looking great as well.
Yeah.
The Lions are the team that maybe you should just take. They're like 2,900. The offensive line is hurt. Kyler Murray might be just terrible.
There's a great possibility of that. I mean, yeah, they ran a vanilla offense in preseason, but did they run it well? You should be able to run that vanilla offense and look okay.
We're not showing them anything.
No, we're not showing them anything. I mean, who do you guys think you are? You're coming into the league as like Super Bowl contenders. You're not going to show anything. Like work on what you're going to show.
They're not Super Bowl contenders.
No, absolutely
not.
They
are in the running to be the worst.
Yeah,
team
we're
in the
assuming league, and I think they will be. If they get 5 wins, they should be ecstatic with that type of season. But like we said off the top, at least I did, is that I think Detroit will be able to dial up some pressure and get after a guy like Kyler Murray and make some mistakes. Dealing with a lot of inexperience too. Like as much as they love those wideouts they drafted, they brought in Michael Crabtree too. Like there's a lot of inexperience on that team and not a lot of rapport with anybody for Kyler Murray's standpoint. It could just be a whole lot of DJ.
And as soon as Hakeem Butler went down, they end up bringing Crabtree in. But like I said, like both your starting corners are out. You're starting 3 rookies in the secondary. And I think that plays into the Lions defense being all right, is that and the possibility for Kenny Golladay having like 400 touchdowns in this game is very high.
Yes.
Maybe not that many, but we'll see. But if they can jump out to the lead and then you force the high-paced Kyler Murray to chuck the ball up 50 times, like you want to be starting a defense against that. Whether he scores, again, 28 points or not,
all year
he's not going to be making the best of throws at all times.
Right. All year you're going to want to, because I think David Johnson's going to have a hard time running the football on that offensive line. So if Kyler Murray's going to be throwing, who knows how accurate he's going to be. He's going to be moving around a lot. He's probably going to be throwing a lot on the run. I think he can be a decent quarterback in this league, but I'm not ready to go all in on him yet.
Yeah. Last injury thing, Kiki, he has a chance to play on Monday night, but the options are so limited of what you would have to draw from. Like if Kiki doesn't play, I don't feel super good about starting Kenny Stills. I
don't either. First time.
So just don't play him.
Play just don't play him. It's Monday night. Yeah. Just look for another option. look for another option, I guess. Like if you're a Monday night game and he doesn't play, if you're that desperate, I don't know, like what kind of situation you are in your league. I mean, maybe you just go Hunter Renfrow as a guy that you just plug in as your flex, a Monday night guy too.
It looked a lot better when Antonio Brown wasn't
100%
going to
did.
play.
Yeah, it did. But I mean, I don't know what people's leagues are like out there.
Yeah, it's true. It's
So
tough to
somebody
know.
who's just dropped David Montgomery in a shallow league is like you playing with 3 other people.
This was the greatest news I heard all week. So we're back to news and notes here.
Yeah.
Ravens offensive coordinator Greg Roman told reporters Thursday that while Mark Ingram is technically the team's starting running back, everyone's going to contribute. I feel very good about my 5-1 bet with Sealy that Justice Hill is better than Mark Ingram.
Oh, did you guys make that? Yeah. And like just finish at the end of the year or just like
who has more fantasy points at the end of the year?
Also very possible. I mean, this is
It's
a team
also
that
possible
wants
Gus
to run
Edwards
the football. Yeah,
leads
Gus.
this team.
I was going to say Gus Edwards is actually not out of the question either. I think all of them are going to touch the football because what they want to do is run the ball. And if they have their way with Ryan Fitzpatrick, they're going to run the ball, I don't know, 50 times this weekend.
Cust has advocated a Dolphin stack this week. He said his quote was Fitzpatrick, Devontae Parker, Gesicki.
He's just setting himself up for.
I said, listen,
I like Albert Wilson.
I don't think it's a good play, but I said you want to do it with Wilson and Jakeem Grant are the two you want to do it with.
I like Albert Wilson. I mean, he was utilized pretty heavily in the offense last year, and I like slot wide receivers, and there's a few of them this weekend that are in decent spots, and they're pretty cheap. I mean, if they are going to be down and they can't throw the ball down the field with Parker.
That's the whole key right there, is that if Fitzpatrick has no time to throw, not to say that he just won't throw it to the other team.
Oh, he'll take
he
shots.
will.
Yeah.
But the easiest passes on the field are the 2 speed guys that stand near the line of scrimmage, and all they need to do is make the one guy miss.
Yeah.
And they're gone.
And they're gone.
So that's
what
why
we
when
saw
I
from
think
Albert
about
Wilson last year.
And Jakeem Grant, too.
And Jakeem Grant. Yeah, both of them. And Gesicki I think he's in for a breakout season. I don't
Yeah,
want to say
I don't
I don't want to
even know,
say that he's going to finish as a top 12 tight end, but he's going to be a lot more productive than last season.
I hope so, because he was buried.
He was nothing
at
last
one
year.
point during the
Yeah,
preseason. He got
nothing.
bumped to 4th on the depth chart.
Yeah, isn't he the most athletic tight end ever? Didn't I hear that?
He's
at
not
one
Vernon
point?
Davis, professional curler Vernon Davis.
Vernon Davis is also pretty interesting if Jordan Reed's not going to play.
Would you play? Like, was he $2,700 on
Yeah,
DraftKings?
he's $2,700 on DraftKings. I mean,
there's no way Reed can play,
Swam's-
right?
Swam's
I like-
29.
I like Swam.
Ingram's
this.
4.8. But yeah, Davis. Yeah, we know about Ingram. But Davis.
Just look at the tight end rankings for a second.
And why not?
Would you go? I moved up Darren Waller once Brown.
Yeah.
I'm going to move him back down. Would you
Yeah.
play Delaney Walker or Vernon Davis if you knew there was no Jordan Reed?
I
played
probably
Delaney.
will play Delaney Walker. Yeah.
Austin Hooper, Vernon Davis.
Yeah, that's one I could get behind. Maybe Davis ahead of him. Hooper did have the 4th most catches among tight ends last year, but he just didn't do a whole lot with them.
It's because tight end sucks.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So this
That's
is
the
this
big
is
thing.
it. Like after you're talking about the first few, it's just about opportunity, and this is one for Vernon Davis against an Eagles team. This secondary is not great. Like offensive line is great,
No.
defensive line is great, secondary trash.
Yeah.
Absolute trash.
Remember last year when they were just recycling dudes off the street?
Like 2 of Amari Cooper's best games last year is because the Eagles were, they were down to their 6th and 7th cornerbacks, and those guys got hurt in those games. So, I mean, yeah, they allowed, I think, the 3rd most catches wide receivers last year. This is probably a trend that's going to continue.
Bills OC told reporters on Thursday that each of Frank Gore, Devin Singletary, and TJ Yeldon will have roles in this offense this season. Here's a hot tip. Don't play any of these guys.
I'm not surprised to hear that, actually. I mean,
Singletary is the one who's worth owning.
yes.
And if you were in a pinch and had to, a Bills only league, and you had to play one, Singletary is probably the one. I think I've ranked 32 at running back.
Yeah. I wouldn't even play him on DK. I have him written down as just 3.6. It's just a guy I just don't even really want to play.
Yeah.
I just don't even really care about him.
Just
sure
play Josh Allen.
Yeah, just play Josh Allen, Cole Beasley, or take a shot with him and John Brown. We know what Josh Allen likes to do. He likes to throw the ball down the field. We know what John Brown likes to do. Run down the field. Run deep down the field. Those guys are going to take at least 3 shots down the field together. Yeah, I mean, there's going to use... Frank Gore's never going to go away. We joke about this all the time. He's not. He's looked great in preseason. He blocks well. He's just not going to go away. He has the trust of any coach that he has. He just has it. And
Do you think that's what it is? It's like,
I do. I think it is.
We're going to run these plays, and we have these young quarterbacks who might be crazy.
Yeah.
Frank, you go on the field and make sure everything's all right.
Yeah, I do. I think
He's a stabilizing presence in this offense.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
But analytics tell me he's no good.
Sure. I mean, they can say that all you want. At the end of the
But he's
day,
gonna play.
At the end of the day, he's going to play. Yeah, it's like that in all sports. Analytics can tell you one thing, but if the coach likes you and they trust you, they're playing you.
Anthony Lynn said that they're going to continue to use multiple running backs into the backfield with the Chargers. Percent chance Justin Jackson outscores Austin Eckler this week?
Like
30?
Yeah, I
less?
was going to say 25.
Okay.
20,
So
25.
Eckler's still the guy you want to play.
Yeah, Eckler's still the guy. I was looking at the 2 December games towards the end of the season, competitive games for the Chargers where Gordon didn't play. And Eckler had 28 carries and 13 targets. And he wasn't efficient running that game, especially against the Steelers. It was all Eckler in the first, and then I think he had like maybe 6 yards in the first half. And then they went to Jackson. So I wouldn't be shocked if Jackson had more carries than Eckler. But Eckler's role is going to stay the same as that pass catcher. So yeah, he's the guy.
Here's a fun one for you. Coach Doug Peterson. Do you
Oh,
know what I'm going to say?
Oh,
Told
running back by committee.
Told reporters on Wednesday that the Eagles will continue to utilize a committee system at running back. The only back to ever play even 40% of the offensive snaps in a season under Peterson was Darren Sproles in 2016.
Yeah. Well, I've said this to you plenty of times.
Chances Sproles is the best running back on the Eagles this year.
Yeah, it's high. It is high. And watching Doug Peterson and the Eagles, I mean, Ryan Matthews and Josh Adams are the only ones that have had 20 touches in the 2 years. And I mean, when they won the Super Bowl, they didn't have one 1,000-yard player, like not even Ertz, no wide receiver, no back. They used everyone, Blunt, Ajayi, Clement. They're going to use everyone too. And I think they're going to use a lot of Jordan Howard early on in the season because why not? Apparently there was rumors that they wanted to trade him for Gordon. They don't care about Howard at all. He's in the last year of his rookie deal. If I'm Peterson and Deuce Staley, running back coach, run this guy into the ground, especially if you're up week 1 against Washington.
Especially
Use
early.
him.
Yeah, like why try to waste Miles Sanders week 1?
Use him.
A lot of people were saying, because I was talking about Tony Pollard before Zeke ended up coming back, that everyone's just going to use Tony Pollard. He's $4,500. Like, oh no, Miles Sanders is right next to him, and like he's the better pivot. Like, I just reconstructed my teams instead of using Miles Sanders. Now that could be a big mistake.
Yeah,
and maybe they want to showcase Sanders and they give him all the goal line touches, but knowing what I know about the Eagles, that's not going to happen.
And if you think one of those guys are going to be the goal line back, I mean, Doug Peterson likes to use Darren Sproles in the red zone too. Absolutely, as a pass catcher as well. So I don't mind either of their prices. Sanders 3.9, Howard 4.2. I think 1 or 2 of them can be lean on, but you're just getting yourself in a lot of trouble.
Like, how many lineups deep do you need to be in before you start doing that?
Yeah,
honestly, like how good do you feel about that?
Yeah, not great.
Like
No.
I feel better about Chris Thompson at $3,500.
You should. Yeah, you should. Eagles can't stop backs who can catch.
Yeah,
and they're going to be throwing.
And if they're going to be down, then he's going to be on the field.
And they're going to dial up pressure. Like, they're going to be able to get after Keenum.
Right, like that's all the news and notes I got. Let's talk about DK ownership here for a second. So the guys, fansharesports.com has all the ownership projections. They've aggregated all the content from around the industry to see who people are talking about. I think it's a very savvy way to do that. So if people want full access to everything that's up there, plus there's articles and strategy and everything like that. It's not just ownership projections. At checkout, use the promo code PME. Get 20% off.
Beautiful.
So I got one for there. If you want to get Daily Roto, 10% off with the PME.
Yeah.
I got promos for days. I'm trying to help the people out.
I'm getting involved.
You should, for sure.
Yeah.
Jacoby Brissett projected to be the highest owned quarterback in the millionaire.
This is what I was talking to you off air about, just the feeling in quarterbacks. We've seen it over the past couple of years in drafts. Wait. Mahomes going in the 5th round. Wait. Don't spend up. Wait. And what? Brissett is 4.4. Sure. Everyone's like, why not plug him in? And I get it. I understand it. In 2017, he had the 4 rushing touchdowns. He ran the ball a bit. The line is good. I understand it, but I don't feel like it's needed. There's just so much value with these prices being out for a few weeks that, there's just value all over the place.
So the top owned running back right now is Chris Carson, at least by projections. He and Dalvin Cook both project to be incredibly highly owned. I like Chris Carson a lot this week. I like Dalvin Cook a lot this week, but you don't want to be, I guess the strategy is just don't play both of them in the same lineup.
Don't put them both in your lineup because you're going to have to really hit everywhere else. I'm going to have a lot of Carson, and I know he's going to be chalky. I knew he'd be chalky anyways. Like, how could you not expect him to be chalky? His matchup is amazing. Seattle wants to run the ball. They're like heavy home favorites. They're 10-0 in their last 10 home games, and they've outscored their opponents like 200 something, like 50.
No, they weren't good at home last year, were they?
No, but they're just their last 10 home games. Openers.
Oh, openers.
Just
sorry.
home openers.
I thought you said home
sorry,
games.
I did. I think I did. But home openers. Like, they've just dominated their opponents, and they're just going to run the ball.
Yeah, I have a teaser with them on it.
Yeah.
I also teased the Chiefs through 0. Just to piss off Tim. I just think the Chiefs win in Jacksonville. I do. Everyone's like, sleeper of the week, upset alert.
I'm just taking the Chiefs. Like,
yeah, so am I.
Yeah, it was. I think it opened up 4.5. I don't know if it's at
3.5
now.
It's 3 now.
Yeah, 3.5. 3 now. I think maybe Vegas and everybody else forgetting how good Kansas City is. I heard you say that on the show. I heard you say that on the show with Tim and Jeff, and I was in total agreement with you. Like, this is the Chiefs after all. They're awesome, and Andy Reid's had all summer to prepare for opening week against Jacksonville. Like, I think the Jags are fine. I think they're going to be better.
But the
This
Chiefs
game's
are probably
going to win by field goal.
Yeah, the Chiefs and
I think the Rams will win by field goal, too.
Yeah, so
they're
do
only
I.
giving a field goal, the 2.5. Like, what? Fine.
Just do double money line if you want to. Just
yeah,
go Rams,
just take
Chiefs.
them both.
Like, they're good.
Yeah, take them both on the money line.
So Carson and Dalvin Cook, highest projected own. Barkley looks like he's going to be the highest projected own of the super expensive guys. I already said I like Todd Gurley in this spot.
Me too.
He's
This
cheaper,
opportunity.
and they're going to fucking feed him the ball.
If there's one game he's going to be healthy this year, it's week 1.
Yeah.
He's had all this time off.
Chris Godwin, around a
Yeah.
quarter of players will be using him and that Tampa stack in general is popular. D.D.
He's going to
Westbrook
be
is
more
gonna win.
owned than Mike Evans, Chris Godwin.
Well, he's much cheaper.
I know, but still kind of.
Yeah, I think objectively people would rather have Mike Evans,
Yeah,
but
just find a way to get
You
it.
have to spend $2,000 more.
I'll find a way.
But DD's the other one people are using too.
Yeah, Didi's the hot.
I love DD.
Yeah, I like him too. There's a lot to like about him working out of the slot. We know Nick Foles. Both of these guys work magic in the slot. And I watched that third preseason game with Nick Foles. 4 drives, 10 throws, 7 to DD. He's gonna be his guy. His guy this year.
Thielen and Lockett are the other two creeping up around 20%.
I don't know how I feel about Lockett. I mean, he should be fine. I
I
don't know what it is with me and Lockett. Like,
I just never get him right, so I
Yeah.
have no idea. So I just never play him now.
yeah,
Which is stupid because he's good.
I know he is good. He runs great routes. He's got great hands. Like, he is good. He should get a ton of targets this year. I mean, somebody has to get those Doug Baldwin ones, but
It's not like Doug Baldwin.
he wasn't doing
he
anything
wasn't doing
last year,
anything
right?
last
What do you
year.
have, like less than 50 catches?
Yeah.
Fewer than
He was
50?
hurt
Yeah,
most of the year.
I know. Yeah, I don't care. I just think they're just going to run the ball a lot.
Yeah. Especially in this game where they're
Yeah.
favored by 10.
Yeah,
I think the-
Clowney is just going to eat up Dalton.
I think the teaser is Seahawks tease down, Cowboys tease down, and then the Chiefs tease. I probably shouldn't have thrown the Chiefs on it, but I have a 3-team teaser with those.
I
Maybe
think
it's
Washington
Denver
will
I
hang
have.
tight too. Like, I think they could get that backdoor cover.
I think that they cover too.
Yeah.
I'm not willing to wager on that,
No.
but if you had to,
Yeah.
if I have to make a pick, I'll pick
Yeah,
Washington.
like I see the Eagles winning between like 3 and 7 points, not 10. Now it's up to 10. Division game.
and it just seems like one of those
Wentz
games that
hasn't played in a long time.
they're up by 15 the entire game, and they score a greasy touchdown at the end to cover.
What
the
if
spread.
McCown plays the fourth quarter? Like, oh, that's possible. They're just giving McCown Fridays off, by the way.
Well,
I know,
how much
it's
money has
fine.
this guy made?
It's fine, but like
He
I just
looks
thought
like
it was funny.
Guile from Street Fighter. It's ridiculous. So tight end, Kelsey, Hunter Henry, OJ Howard, Kittle, Ingram. Like those 5 guys are all going to be above
Yeah.
double digits. Then it's everyone else. Take your pick.
Yeah,
Is Ertz the play?
he's had great games against Washington over his career. At 5 of his last 6, he's had at least 85 yards and he's averaged 8 catches.
Alshon banged up, Deshaun Jackson banged up. We can't trust any of the running backs.
with Wentz, like if Wentz really wants to just kind of get himself into a rhythm early, he's going to go to his favorite target, Zach Ertz. I don't mind Ertz at all. Kelsey's he's kind of the guy I'm staying away from.
I
just 'cause
love Kel- I
I know,
love
I
Kelsey
know,
this week.
and I'm wrong. I'm only staying with him because I know, like, for all the wrong reasons, actually. Like, that's what it is. It's that I feel like his ownership's gonna be pretty high, and everyone's gonna be on him. So I'm just kind of staying away.
It seems pretty flat though. Like those 5 guys are all between like 12 and 15% projected. One of them will spike. One of them will obviously be less.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you which one it's going to
Right.
be, and I hope it's Kelsey because he's the most expensive that people just decide
Yep.
not to pay up.
Like I just said,
But like that onslaught, it's super expensive. I've tried to build. I'm only going to play like 5 lineups this week, but the majority of them have Jags guys and KC guys in them. And like going like Mahomes, Kelsey, Tyreek Hill, just it's expensive, but you look at it, you're like, ooh.
and
Then you can play Swaim and Dede if you
right, yeah. Or you could maybe even play Fournette if you want.
want. Yeah, maybe.
I mean, that's another guy who, if he's going to be healthy, this is healthy right now, week 1. So I think same thing with Mahomes, what I said earlier. These are guys that this is probably the best time to be on him. A game in Jacksonville. Everyone's on the Jags to be a lot better, defense to be a lot better. That will probably get them. This will probably be the lowest ownership of all year, maybe, Pat.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So David VD and Swaim. If Reed sits, Vernon Davis, Swaim.
Yeah. That's about
Be
as
the
low
cheap.
as I go.
Be the cheap guys.
That's the low as I would, yeah. And other than that, you either go all the way down or you just spend up. There's no in between, I don't think. Like, I wouldn't roll out Walker or
that's a tough spot.
or
even
Hooper or Njoku. Like, I'm not interested.
A nice way to get rid of, I know some people do this, but like if you play Kelsey and you do want to stack that game, using Kelsey and Swaim is a good way to break up ownership.
Yeah.
And
sure.
listen, this isn't golf for example. Like there's 9 spots. It's hard to have a super duplicated roster.
Yeah, no, it's you hardly ever see it. It's usually at least 1 or 2 going to be different.
Yeah.
And Foles, again, we know that he likes to get the ball out quick, and DiFilippo was there with him in Philadelphia, played into his strengths. Again, I think both of those guys, I mean, he had that rapport early on with Josh Oliver, and he's gone, right? The tight end that they drafted, he's hurt. So
anything else about week 1, you think?
I think we all covered it. I mean, I like Beasley. I think we touched on him.
We'll talk
like
about
Cole
that
Beasley.
in a standalone
Okay,
video.
fair enough. Yeah, that's it. Week 1's here. Let's go.
So my 3 bets that I put in, got Denver -1.
Yeah.
Got the Lions -2.5.
Mm-hmm.
And I have the Colts +6.5. I think those are the 3 that I'm on already. I'm considering others, but I don't want to get into the point where I'm betting like 6 single games a week. I want to try to narrow it down to 3, hopefully win 2 of the 3 all year, and then I'll be good.
Yeah, I'd take that strategy too. Maybe 2 of 3, maybe 1 different on, 3 of them. Just go that way. Take 2 of the 3. I like the Chiefs. I like the Rams. I have, a lot of parlays with those teams involved.
I'm trying not to parlay. Not to say that I haven't made some parlays this week. Like I have those 3 on a parlay with the Chiefs and the Bills. Yeah, because I like those games.
I like the Bills too. I 3.5. I jumped on that early.
It's 2.5 now.
Yeah, I jumped on it a long time ago. 3.5. So I like that one. I know I heard you guys talk about Miami covering.
That's not something I would physically bet on, but. Again,
I actually
it's like
feel
the
pretty
Redskins
good
thing.
about Baltimore winning by a touchdown.
How about this?
I just don't think Miami scores any points.
Maybe Lamar Jackson sucks.
That's also a possibility.
Remember when Mitch Trubisky was really good?
Yeah, I do. And now he's the worst quarterback ever. I just don't feel like Miami's going to score any points. That's all. Like you'll have to sweat that out. It could be 5 Tucker field goals and they win and they just do it at the end. I don't know, but I feel pretty good about
it. Feels like a big backdoor. And I'm not convinced that Baltimore's defense is going to be like elite.
Yeah.
It could just be good. And if it's just good, then Albert Wilson, 1 juke, he gone.
Yeah.
He gone.
Yeah. I'm going to sweat it out, but I'm going to deal with it.
Yeah, I'm just not going to bet on it, so I don't have to.
Yeah, you don't have to. I mean, I wouldn't suggest it for everybody as, jumping in weird things happen week 1. You're giving a team 7 points at home. I mean, remember when Tampa went into New Orleans last year and won?
Yes, I do. Yeah. I remember it knocked Cussed out of Eliminator.
Knocked a lot of people out of Survivor.
Who would you take in Survivor? I'm taking the Seahawks.
Yeah, Seattle's my team for Survivor. I was just back. I'm in a couple, so I'll do a couple Seattle, a couple Philly. That's it. I'm just going with those 2 teams.
Those 2? You would not Dallas against the Giants?
Nah, I mean, I'm fine with it, but yeah, I'm not going to go there. I think that game will be tighter than the Philly-Washington one.
Maybe. All right. The Athletic. You're there officially now.
I'm there officially, yeah.
Doing podcasts, writing articles, producing podcasts, doing hockey.
Yeah.
Doing basketball too.
Yep. Doing pumping out the hockey draft guide. Spent a lot of time on that today. That's going to be out in a couple days.
You cracked 10,000 Twitter followers.
I did. Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I think it was the Fantasy Pros, finishing 3rd in ranking, which, definitely not going to duplicate that considering where I have Montgomery and Antonio Brown. But we'll be doing some just shows twice a week with Sealy and Ziegler and doing a pick show myself with Michael Beller. And then I'm going to have a hockey show with Eric Young, which I'm pretty excited about. The Eric Young.
The Eric Young.
The Eric Young.
Love Eric Young.
He's a big hockey fan.
Is he just going to recommend all Predators?
I think he will, yes.
Are you doing the Black Book with Piece of P?
Yes, that is actually out. We've 3 East Coasters. Imagine that.
That's crazy.
Neil Parker,
Slim,
myself, and Slim Califfi. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, and just kind of using Joe's platform.
Are you getting sick of doing all the sports yet? Is it becoming too much?
It is. I'm not going to lie. I've been completely checked out of baseball for the last couple weeks. I really love Pisa Pia's league that he does. It ends right at the end of August. He just has playoffs you do playoffs in the last couple weeks of August. You don't have to deal with it in September. You turn your focus over to football. I like that. Because,
and it's an all-star break.
Yeah. I still have leagues that I want to, finish out baseball, but it's hard to really kind of focus on football here now and hockey coming. I think the one sport, honestly, that I've checked out over the past, year or so is basketball. And I'm kind of excited about this season, but over the past couple of years, it's just been, Golden State and Cleveland, Golden State and Cleveland, LeBron, it's just been like too boring. And now this year there's like super teams of 2 that I'm kind of intrigued in.
And fantasy's tough for basketball because
it is tough.
It feels
season long is just dying.
That's the whole thing. It feels like it's all daily. It's all DraftKings. Like we gave up our season long basketball league like 3 years ago.
Me too.
And did we do baseball? No, we didn't do baseball this year. Season long baseball.
Yeah,
First time in 17 years, my league shut down.
Wow.
And not a single person complained.
No.
Everyone's like, perfect.
Yeah.
I don't have to fucking deal with
They did
this.
like the 6-hour auction draft. I loved it. I loved the draft. I love drafting. I think that's what it is.
That's why everyone switched over to DraftKings. Oh, I can draft whenever I want.
And who I want. Yeah, and that's the thing with the NBA. And I think season long has died because, I mean, look at Kawhi, right? He didn't play any back-to-backs at all last year.
Yeah, we got screwed the moment we traded for LeBron.
And our team was unbelievable. On paper, like Ben Simmons, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, like you would think that we would come first, but
we did
Davis
not.
gets hurt, LeBron rests, gets hurt, guys are not playing back-to-backs, guys are not playing minutes. I don't know what it is with players in the NBA. I mean, they don't play back-to-back
I get
games.
it.
Like,
I wouldn't want to play back-to-back either. I hate doing shows in back-to-back days.
I know. And
if I didn't have to, I wouldn't.
well, now they're talking about just shortening the season and having like a little tournament. I mean, it could go that way. And the NBA
I'm
could
in on
go
that.
that
I'm
way.
in on that.
Yeah, because it's a long season. And when the players check out, it's hard to respect the fans. Like, to expect the fans not to check out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And we're living in the city where they just won the NBA championship.
Yeah.
Like, it was a really big deal. And then it just kind of went away.
It's just, yeah. It
People are not super excited for the Raptors at all.
They got their championship, whatever.
Oh, no, they're good for like
yeah,
25
they're good.
years
They
now.
should be. Yeah, I say that as a Mavs fan. I said the minute that they won, I could care less. I was like, whatever. I don't give a shit about any of these guys anymore about making the playoffs, and they haven't. They've been awful ever since.
Yeah, they're starting to get good, though.
Yeah, Doncic, Porzingis,
Here we are.
on the rise.
And getting rid of Dennis Smith Jr. has to be a good thing.
Yeah, he was a problem. I never liked him from day one. I wanted him out of there. Yeah.
Now he's with the Knicks. It's perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect match for
it
him.
is perfect, yeah.
So yeah, Fantasy Black Book, The Athletic,
Yes.
lots of podcasts.
Lots of podcasts, footballers.
Oh yeah, the
doing
footballers.
DFS with Jake and
Sealy
Joe
and
Holka.
and Holka, yeah.
Yeah, we did our first episode on Wednesday. It was fun. It was a good time.
All right, at
Football's
Chris
here.
Meaney on Twitter, at Chris Meaney on Instagram. No, it's not.
Meanswell 11.
Someone owned Chris Meaney, or you just
I don't know what I did there. I probly should have just went with Chris
You
Meaney.
can just go
kept
change it.
Kept it simple.
telling you? Like I'm at the PME Instagram, Facebook.
It
and
works.
It just
Yeah.
I only need to
You have it for marketing. You
It's
got
not
it.
even that. I don't remember anything, so I
Yeah.
need to have it just be one, or I'll be very confused all the time.
I know. Yeah.
Hit
Still
it.
time to change that up.
I was gonna say hit up the DraftKings Pat Mayo Experience Listeners League, but like I should probably not say it, so you can get in
Yes.
before it closes.
That's right. Immediately when the show's done.
So we'll
Get
do
it.
that. Everyone out there should be doing that as well. I told you about the giveaway. Smash the like button. Leave your DraftKings handle in the comment section. Tell me which injury-plagued player you are most concerned about this week. I'll be back live at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time Sunday morning with Cust and Garion. We'll be taking your questions, prepping you for the week, and that'll about do it. We'll be tinkering with this Friday show. We know the elements. We're gonna try to figure out what it is, the order everything should go in. But hey, thanks for tuning in. I'm Pat Mayo. Good luck in week 1. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!